Welcome to Making the Case. I'm Yodit Tewolde. We begin in Texas, where House Democrats walked out of the Capitol Sunday night, refusing to pass a bill that would impose some of the strictest limits on voting access in the nation. And Republican Governor Greg Abbott responded by threatening to withhold their pay. SB 7, known as the Election Integrity Protection Act, would ban 24-hour voting and drive-through voting, which would disproportionately affect people of color. It also imposes new restrictions on absentee voting, grants new authority and autonomy to partisan poll watchers, and increases punishment for mistakes or offenses by election officials. One Democrat tweeted that lawmakers acted because the bill is a, quote, threat to our democracy. Republicans will likely get another chance to pass the bill in a special session, but Democrats have vowed to continue to fight against any measures that would restrict voting rights. Cliff Albright is the founder of Black Voters Matter. His organization is fighting to protect voting rights across the U.S. Cliff, it's great to have you back.
Great to be back. Thanks.
All right, Cliff. We're here again because we're talking about yet another suppressive voting law that has been passed. Now, I want to start off by a tweet you posted just a few hours ago, and it was directed at Representative Jim Murphy, one of the Texas Republicans who supports this bill, SB 7. It reads, "You failed once and you will fail again. Your bill has nothing to do with integrity or reform. It is hashtag Jim Crow 2.0, voter suppression, and you're on the same side of history as Bull Connor and George Wallace. Number 3, see number 1 above, hashtag can't stop, won't stop." All right, Cliff. Now, prior to SB 7, Texas already had some of the most restrictive voting laws in the country. Under current Texas law, a black woman by the name of Crystal Mason was prosecuted for mistakenly voting while she was on felony probation, then sentenced to, 5 years in prison? Why are they going to even limit access to voting even more so? What part of this bill concerns you the most?
Yeah, it's a hard question because there's so many parts of this bill that are concerning. As you mentioned, a state that's already hard to vote in, that has already arrested and criminalized and prosecuted a black woman several years ago, is now adding more provisions under which they can criminalize behavior. Everything from criminalizing election officials that send out absentee ballot applications to criminalizing people who are helping somebody to vote or who make a mistake, just make a mistake on a registration form. All of those become criminal offenses. And so those are some of the harsh provisions of this bill. But I think the part that's the most scary or the most Jim Crowish is a part of the bill that was actually added in after the bill went to conference committee. In other words, it was not in the original House version, it was not in the original Senate version, but just in the middle of the night, they added an extra provision which basically made it easier to overturn elections. Very similar to the process that was in the Georgia bill that was passed, under which the state could get rid of local election officials and thereby make it easier for the state to overturn elections that they don't like the results of, right? And so that's probably the most, again, Jim Crowish provision of this bill, and it's part of this pattern where basically they want to make it as hard as possible for you to vote. But even if somehow you do get a chance to vote and you get a chance to win an election, they've now got this fail-safe that then makes it easier for them to overturn an election.
Now, Cliff, the walkout by Democratic lawmakers was certainly dramatic, but do you think it will have lasting impact, or are the Republicans likely to get the bill passed in a special session?
No, that's actually what I was saying in the tweet that you posted up, because that particular Republican representative was saying to his constituents, "Oh, we're going to do this in special session." And so what I was reminding him was, you already failed once. You're going to fail again. We're going to out-organize you the same way that we, and when I say we, it's not just Black Voters Matter. It's an incredible coalition of organizations in the state of Texas, organizations like Texas Organizing Project and Move Texas and Texas Civil Rights Project, an incredible coalition in Black organizations like Next Generation Action Network, an incredible coalition of organizations that defeated this bill in spite of all odds, in spite of being outnumbered and being outvoted, and not having the kind of power that it really takes to be able to impact legislation. Nobody else in the country thought it was possible. And so, no, it's not going to work. But with that said, it shouldn't just be left up to the folks in Texas. They need help. They need help from the federal government. They need help from Congress, including the democratically controlled Senate. They need help from the White House, which needs to use the full force of its office in order to help get H.R. 1 and H.R. 4, federal voting rights legislation, passed. If the Democrats in Texas can do it without any real power or any real numbers and no majority, if they could block this bad legislation, then certainly Democrats in the Senate who actually have a majority can get something passed.
I was actually going to get to that. I want to play a clip from one of the Democratic representatives that participated in that walkout. She talked to BNC earlier today, and she said she and her colleagues did what they needed to do to keep this bill from being passed for now, but she said what they really need is help at the federal level. Listen.
We're definitely looking forward to seeing the John Lewis Act passed. You know, we need the president to continue what he's doing, and that's to put the pressure on the Congress people to pass this measure because we need oversight. You're going to continue to see laws passed in states like Georgia and Florida and Texas that are going to disenfranchise.
All right, so Cliff, there are two pieces of legislation that organizations like yours are pushing to have passed at the federal level. How can these bills help prevent state lawmakers from passing more restrictive voter laws, and what can people do to try and help?
Yeah, so the first of the bills is H.R. 1, which has already been passed by the House, which is now awaiting action in the Senate in the form of S1. And that's the For the People Act. In other words, this is the act that deals with kind of the proactive voting mechanism. It expands access to the voter registration to those who have previous convictions, early voting. It's got a number of provisions in there that would make the voting process easier. That being in place could preempt some of the things that are in the Texas bill as well as the bills that we've seen in some other states. The other piece of legislation is the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, H.R. 4, which is different because this is the act that seeks to basically restore some of the powers that were in the 1965 Voting Rights Act, which was weakened, which was gutted by the Supreme Court about 8 years ago. And so H.R. 4 would restore some of the provisions, such as pre-clearance, which basically means that some states, including Texas, would, before they make some changes, they would have to get certain changes pre-cleared by the Justice Department in order to make sure that they're not having a discriminatory impact. If those two pieces of legislation have been passed by now, then we wouldn't be dealing with this Texas legislation right now because most of what the Texas bill would include would be blocked by one, if not both of those pieces of federal legislation.
Cliff, what do you think of the Governor Greg Abbott's threat to withhold their pay? Democratic lawmakers, that is.
Right. Well, one, he'd have to structure this in a way where it would only affect Democratic lawmakers, which is going to be incredibly difficult. Basically, what he's proposing that he won't fund a part of the state budget that funds the legislature. Mm-hmm. What he'd be doing would not only impact the Democratic legislators, it would impact the Republican legislators, but more importantly, it affects the entire operations of the Georgia legislature, right? And so it's the legislators, it's the staff members, it's even the janitorial staff in the building, right? And so he's really just having a temper tantrum because this piece of legislation that he staked his whole name on, that he thought for sure he had the power to get through, he failed to get through because of the organizing that incredible folks in the state of Texas did. And so, but again, this is a governor who throughout this legislative session has done nothing on emergency issues like the fact that they had a power outage and we're without right. power, without water. You haven't seen any kind of legislation to deal with those issues. You're not seeing a special session to deal with those issues and other critical issues that the state of Texas is dealing with. But he has been obsessed with taking away our voting rights by trying to pass Jim Crow voter laws, which are squarely aimed at Black and brown voters.
All right, Cliff Albright, co-founder of Black Voters Matter. Thank you again for coming on.
Thank you.